Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on and ready to go.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
Good morning, Foxes fans. I have a feeling it's going to be one of those days. I think today is going to be it. If it can go wrong, a bit like Leicester at Burton Albion, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. How are you doing this morning? We finally got some goals pre-season. Aye, it's got to be something, hasn't it? It's got to be an improvement anyway. Welcome along. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. We're going to be looking at the match yesterday with a QPR fan. You can catch us live on YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV. And if you are going to watch it on there or you're going to pop over, please press my buttons. I like my buttons being pressed. I tell you every time, press my buttons. Subscribe, like, follow, do the lot. On Facebook, it's Leicester Till I Die, the group, and obviously on Twitter at Leicester TID. We got a fan coming in from QPR. I'm totally not with it this morning, so we're just going to go for it. We'll bring him in and say, "Hi, Connor. How you doing?"
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you for coming on with a big smile, and I'm not surprised after the way you played. Before we start, though, give a shout out. How can people find you, follow you, and do the rest?
You can find me. It's Conor McCradden0 on Twitter and also Connor_1409 on Instagram.
Brilliant. Your Twitter link is in the description below on YouTube, so people can follow you. Did you go to the game, or were you like myself watching it on online?
No, I was at the game yesterday.
Right.
Which is great.
Yeah, it's good to be back, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And it seemed on when I was watching it a really good atmosphere.
No, it did. I mean, it wasn't full, the stadium, but it was. No. People are still sort of cautious. I know the manager was talking about, fans are still sort of cautious of obviously COVID and stuff like that. But no, it was a really, really good atmosphere yesterday. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, Rob here, he's a Leicester fan. Great to be at the QPR game. Good banter and plenty of goals. I mean, it was a goal fest. I mean, we haven't scored in our first two pre-season games. You have. I mean, I've got to be totally honest with you. And we spoke briefly before we came live. If that's the way you're going to play, I'm really impressed. You're going to be up at the top.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know Ollie Gunnar Solskjaer said last week the reason why he wants to play QPR is because they play like a Premier League team. It suits the way we want to play. And to hear compliments from a Man United manager, and I know Brendan and Kelechi and actually they both said, we want to play QPR. It'd be a difficult game, hard to break down. All these compliments are being thrown at us, and we are living up to that expectation, which is obviously really good to see from a QPR perspective.
Yeah. Good morning to Ant there. Ant's Leicester fan channel. He was on my show last week. He's going to be on as well on Tuesday when we look back at Leicester's last season and forward to next season. Go and give him a follow and a subscribe. He's a great guy, great channel. My daughter, who, yes, of course I rule. You know, I'd cut you out the will if you said anything different. And I think Munzie's building up my part here. I'm a leg end. I don't know about a legend, I tell you. And yet, we'll give a shout out to the Man United agenda.
Good channel.
Even though they are bottom of the quiz league, by the way, I should point that out. We do a quiz league on here, Connor, and yeah, let's just say they are bottom. You know? But yeah, I mean, you beat QPR. I'm sorry, you beat QPR. You are QPR. You beat Man United, and I'm just looking at it now, and I think we shot 4-2. I mean, what was that? A strong team you put out?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Man United put out.
Well, you know, you look at Man United's team, the whole team combined wasn't there, obviously their full first team. I mean, Rashford's away, I mean, Sancho's away, Maguire's away, but that team cost £170 million they put out, you know? So it isn't like it's one of those teams to be frowned upon. You had internationals in it, you know, you had, you know, Greenwood, Matic, Mata, Daniel James, Lingard, you know, it wasn't, Wan-Bissaka was playing, it wasn't a bad team, it wasn't the strongest team, but ultimately, you can only play what's in front of you.
£170 million worth of talent on the pitch. In no disrespect, but you think that they should be beating you. You know,
definitely.
You know, and I'll just bring Munzie back in because she's a Man United fan. So if you just want to read that score out to her again, so she can enjoy it.
Well, I believe it was 4-2 to QPR.
Yeah, and like Ant said here, whatever United team is on the pitch will be filled with world-class players. Of course it will. You know, I mean, you'd never accuse them of buying the league, but you know, the fact that they spent over £100 million in the transfer, you do wonder about it. You do wonder about it. It says here QPR JB, good morning. I say good evening a lot because I usually do my shows at night. QPR were class, but then Daka turned up. I'll be honest with you. This when I was watching it online, and the Leicester commentators were saying you were giving us everything we needed in a pre-season friendly. I mean, you know, we hadn't done well on our previous pre-season games, but then this was the first main one, if you like. And sorry, I'm laughing here because Munzie, I've just changed the sex. It's a bloke, not a woman. Munzie, I am sorry. I don't know. You know, you just get something in your mind and you run with it, you know, and say good morning to Static. But no, you know, we had a very strong lineup. You mentioned that sort of pre-show when we started. That we put out. They stayed on long, and you know, the previous two games we swapped 11 at half time, but it was only like on 60 odd minutes when we, you know, seemed to bring on the 7th Cavalry, and then we changed all the players in one go. I mean, I felt sorry for the ref having to check everybody, and I'm sure he did a head count afterwards. But that was when we started playing. You gave us a really, really, really tough game, and it was probably what we needed, to be honest with you. And at one point, I thought you were going to walk away with it.
Yeah, I mean, I was, you know, obviously I was watching the highlights and I was listening to the Leicester commentators, and they had nothing but praise. But there was a Leicester fan forum I checked this morning. They said, you know, QPR's pressing, their passing, their movement, everything about them is just, you know, it really did give Leicester. And I mean, I love Leicester. I mean, I was watching them a lot last season. They're sort of like I've got a little soft spot for Leicester because of, you know, they're sort of like the underdog story and what, you know, with the owners and the fans, and obviously Brennan's done a wonderful job. With and their recruitment as well, you know, but to really sort of give them a game in terms of footballing terms, you know, when a lot of our players obviously come from the academy or we get them from lower league clubs, it just really shows how good we're doing as a football club. And yeah, I mean, you know, especially that first half performance. I mean, I don't know if you know, but there's someone called Tony Incenzo. He's a commentator and stuff, and he's been to every QPR home game for the last, I think, 35 years or something. And he said that first goal we scored was the best goal he's actually seen live. Really? You know, in terms of the movement, it's just, it's breathtaking at times.
Yeah, I looked at that, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but in that first half, you couldn't probably say who was the Premier League team and who was the Championship team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I think I'm not making excuses for what the scoreline was, but I know Leicester changed. I think they changed virtually their whole lineup in the end.
9 players came on. Yes.
Yeah, we actually only made 5 subs,
Yes.
and obviously that isn't including the goalkeeper. So that is, so we made four outfield subs. So to be honest, to match the intensity, I mean, if we made more subs, I reckon we could have really gone for it because we hit the post twice as well. We create some really good opportunities. It's just we didn't. Things with QPR, we just don't have. We've improved our defence over recent seasons, but there's still silly mistakes in there which can cost us.
Well, talking of silly mistakes, we know all about that. I mean, Rob says here, you showed up our weaknesses on set plays. It is a weakness for us. I think a couple of goals came from corners, but I mean, I'm just looking at the stats here, and like you say, 13 attempts to you on goal, 12 to us. I know stats don't sort of tell the whole story, but again, 501 passes to our 533, 687 to 726. You matched us in every department, and when we got it back to 2-2, I thought, okay, we'll take a point at this point, and then you went on and got the bloody third again, and I'm thinking, like, for God's sake, will you stop it, please?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, stats don't really tell the whole story,
No.
But I mean, even hearing those stats, it just shows how sort of equal the game was. But I sort of look at Leicester and I look at their expectations for the upcoming season. So they won the FA Cup last year, narrowly missed out on top 4 again.
Yeah.
But I feel now there's a big change to the way Leicester want to play, and I think Daka and Iheanacho are definitely the way to go. Like I said to you before we went live, I think Vardy is slowly. All I'm saying is I think Vardy needs to watch. He definitely won't be starting every game now.
No.
There is that move away from playing counter-attacking football. I mean, if you do, like you said, against the top teams, you can do that. But especially now, teams are going to be sitting back against Leicester. They know what Leicester are about. So you're going to have to break teams down. And can Vardy break a team down? How's he with his one-touch pass and holding up the ball? He's more, from what I know, he's always running into the channels, pressing really high, good clinical finisher when he gets a chance. But when he's playing against a low block, can he produce the goods almost?
And I know what you're saying. I mean, he's getting on a bit now. Not unlike say Charlie Austin. We'll come on to him in a second, but we've been screaming out for a backup striker for a few seasons now. And Acho came into his own almost by a fluke last season. The formation work, but yeah, with Vardy, I think we're going to see the changing of the guard this season. This probably will be his last season. But then, we're going to be on a time when Daka does take over. But you're going to be looking there when you've got 70 minutes and maybe it's 0-0, you're hanging on, or you 1-0 and we need something. And you see Vardy come on as a super sub on 70 minutes and you're a defender, you're going to be thinking, fucking hell, what? Give us a break, please. Daka's fast, and we saw that yesterday, but that's got to, he's going to be that super sub if he decides, obviously, at the end of his contract to stay. But I think, I think he'll want to stay, and that will be a great thing for him to be. We've just re-signed Albrighton. He's getting on a little bit now, but again, bring him on for 70 minutes. He can ping those crosses in. So, yeah, Vardy is coming towards the end of his career. We've got 4 competitions we're in next season, both the Cups, the Premier League and the Europa. He can't do all 4. And if he gets injured, you got Charlie Austin. The injuries now, at that age, take that bit longer to heal, if you like, and get back to match fitness. So, but that super sub role, I think, is good. But Charlie Austin, he looked, you say he's in his early 30s. And I can remember, I live in Poole down in Dorset, and I can remember watching him for Poole Town before we moved to Swindon. And I can't believe he's still around, but he looked as sharp as ever.
Yeah, I mean, he came to us on January on loan. I mean, because it wasn't really working out for him at West Brom. I mean, Allardyce had just came in, and Allardyce said to him, "Look, go out and play some football. You're not in my plans. So I'd rather you go out and score goals than you just sort of rot on the bench." he came and, you know, he had a really good link up with Scotland's number 9, Lyndon Dykes. Lyndon Dykes started firing in goals and Austin was scoring and also assisting, which is normally, you didn't normally see that from him, but he had that good partnership and he signed on a permanent deal this summer. And, you know, the one thing I was really frustrated with Austin yesterday, I mean, he scored a goal, really good. It's vocal, you know, his communication superb, his leadership superb, but he was dropping deep far too much. And there's a lot of questions with QPR at the moment because you see sort of if you play two up top, either one of Chris Willock or Elias Chair has to get dropped. But if you play one up top, both of them can play. So if I'm in Mark Warburton's mind, I'm sort of like, do I go two up top but then lose one of my creative sparks, or do I go one up top and play both my creative sparks? So there's so many questions with us. That's the best thing. I think the best thing about QPR and Leicester is that we both have depth now. We didn't have depth. Leicester didn't have depth. You know, that's what sort of killed them with the injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
Now we have depth. You have depth, and you know, it's almost like, well, who do you play now? Because you know, I mean, I look at your left backs. You've got Bertrand. I know. What's his name? James Justin, isn't it?
James Justin,
yeah. And also you've got that Thomas as well, who I think is a really good young left back and play left wing back as well. So you've got three options there. Then you look at your midfield as well, and also the up front as well. You can go two up top, one up top if you wanted. So there's a real sort of optimism around both clubs because I think Leicester now, the expectations risen on them. They have to get Champions League next year. They want to go for. They want to obviously try and retain the FA Cup. They obviously want to go far in the Europa League as well. You know, so and obviously with QPR, the expectation is to get promoted now. So I think bright seasons for both clubs, and obviously now I think they both have the players to do that.
You were saying there, good point, and to say good morning to Talk MU, how the devil are you, sir? All these Man United fans coming on to watch a fan from a club that stuffed them 4-2. Sorry, did I mention that again? Sorry.
Oh yeah.
But Mumsy says it, and I say taking up on what you said then, which is but we have to get top four. I mean, Mumsy says here, what do you think of Rodgers as I think he's a bottler? I mean, I don't know what you say is bottling it for Leicester City. Is he any more of a bottler than... Sorry, just a reply from Talk MU here. Is Rodgers any more of a bottler than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? You know, he's had more money than Rodgers to spend, and he hasn't won anything. Basically, he bottles it in the semi-finals every time. He bottles it in a final. He's got a goalkeeper that can't score penalties. Just thought I'd slip that in. You see, this is Leicester. We're not one of the so-called big clubs, and I hope we never become that. But yes, it would have been nice to finish in the Champions League. Of course it would. And we were the only club that was in the top four all season up to the last week. And yeah, it looks bad because we dropped out the last week for 2 seasons running. But fifth and Europa League for a club like Leicester isn't bottling it. I mean, Munsy's saying here he should be getting you in the top four. Well, okay then. Who's going to drop out of that top four?
Yeah,
they're all spending more money than us. You know, we can't afford £100 million for Grealish. We can't, spend the money that Liverpool can do if they need to. I mean, they've got a pretty damn good squad anyway. But a message here from Static. Oh my gosh, it's Connor. Your fame precedes you. But I just think you've got to look at this in perspective. And it's like if QPR come up. You're not going to get into Europe, but if you can come up and realistically for a few seasons be mid-table, that for you isn't bottling it. That for you is doing good. And I think this thing that Brendan Rodgers is a bottler, I just don't get that.
I mean, you look at even sort of like Aston Villa, the money they've been spending over the last few seasons. Even this season, if they lose Grealish, they've already signed his replacement. They're going to get that Leon Bailey. They're just already, And I think Aston Villa will have a good season next year. But you look at the top four, I mean, like you said, who's going to drop out of it? You still got the original City, United, Liverpool, Chelsea. Then you obviously, will Arsenal make a comeback this year? Will Tottenham be up there? I'm sure they will be. Obviously, will West Ham, maybe be up there again. Then you look at see the teams like Aston Villa and Leicester. You know, I've already just named 8 teams there. That
Yes.
it's really, really, really tight. So you know, it's going to be it's going to be a very tight league this year in the Premier League.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I think it is. Again, I mean, to me, I'm doing a show on Tuesday and I'm having a fan on from most of the clubs, and we're going to try and predict where we're going to finish. And you know, I no spoiler alert, but I haven't got us in the top 4. Like I say, it's the breaking into that. And you know, we're still new to this. You're talking about clubs that have been up there. You know, Man City been up there for seasons now. Man United, well, we know their history is along with Liverpool. You know, we've only been like this for a few seasons. You know, but I think the fact that you've got fans from other clubs saying these sort of things basically just shows maybe they're worried about us. Who knows? Who knows? But looking at you last season, I mean, like I said, I said before we came on air, I can't see a reason, and Ant agreed with me, why QPR can't be up there battling.
Look, I think we knew after the I mean last season it was literally a tale of 2 stories really. We first half of the season we were struggling, bottom of the table, well, not bottom of the table, but you know I think we were 19th in the table. You know, everyone's saying Warburton out. I was a Warburton out because I'm sorry, it's a results-based industry, and if you're not getting the results, you know, I'm one of those people you'll see. I don't think you're good enough for the job. But we signed 4 loanees in January, who we signed on permanent deals now, and they completely changed our season around. And I think in the form table we were 3rd in the Championship. So to jump from 19th to 9th, you know, I think we were 7 points off the playoffs, and we dropped some silly points even in the second half of the season. Yeah. We could have been in the playoffs ourselves. You know, we could have been in the Premier League. It's almost like we could have, you know, if we actually had a good first half of the season, who knows where we might have been. But obviously, like I said, this season we've signed those loanees back on permanent deals. We've signed a few other players as well. You know, all our business is done. Our business is done now, which I think is quite rare. You know, for Championship clubs to get their business done really early. And now it's just, I mean, the season starts next week against Millwall. It's just everyone can't wait, and you know, I'm one of those people. I cannot wait, and hopefully, but this is the one thing I was talking to my dad about. I said, you know, I don't want if some results at the start of the season don't go our way, I can already see on Twitter and on Instagram and stuff the sort of meltdown that there's going to be. You know, oh, you know, maybe Warburton isn't the right one. You know, because there's so much expectation now. I don't want them to put the pressure on the players and managers, because our budget compared to the others in the league is, I think we've got the 13th or 14th lowest budget in the league, and that's about mid-table in terms of budget in that division. So, and obviously we've had FFP in the past, so we still can't spend, you know, what we would want to, but we've used our academy really well. We've used our scouts really well, and you know, now we're getting the coaches. You know, the younger players that we're developing are playing the same way that if they were to play in the first team, they would play. So it's almost now, you know, if you're in the under 23s, you get called up to play in the first team, you know how you're going to play. You know what the philosophy is. So, you know what, it's all full steam ahead, and you know I can't wait for the season to start now.
You sound very much like a Leicester fan talking about Leicester, and talk there. It says, you know, you are a big club, mate. No, we're not. You know, phone Sky up, talk, and tell Sky that we're a big club. Yes, we've achieved a lot over the last 10 years. We've also been in administration a couple of times. You know, we were saved from administration a couple of times. Has Rodgers hit his ceiling? The thing is, what I think a lot of these are no disrespect to any of the fans, because the fans that are coming on here, I talk to in other chats, have a lot of respect for them and their thoughts. But some fans of these clubs seem to think it's almost a God-given right. Arsenal, I think, are the most disillusional fans, with all respect to them, is that, you know, they've had one season where they've not qualified for Europe in 25 years, and it's a disaster. You know, disasters going down to the 3rd tier, disasters having your club go into administration, disaster isn't finishing 8th for one season. It's like, you know, wake up and smell the coffee. Our ceiling is a lot lower than Man United's ceiling. You know, we could turn around to Man United talk and say, well, you know, has Ole Gunnar Solskjaer hit his ceiling? his ceiling is to always be the runner-up. Always
Yeah.
get to the semi-finals. What you got to realise is for Leicester fans, the majority of us, those of us that sort of aren't wearing blue tinted spectacles, that you get to the point where fifth is good for us. We
Mm.
are happy with fifth, but like you say, it's different, limits. Like you said with QPR, you got a great manager there, Mark Warburton. He's been around. He's got the experience.
Mm.
I think you said earlier about your defence, and I was looking. You scored 57 goals last season, but you let 55 in.
Yeah, I mean, that compared to the season before that, that looks really good because when Walton's first season, we were just attack, 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 and just sort of almost like I don't even think we had a defence that season.
Yeah.
And then last year we signed Rob Dickey from Oxford, and he was, I think we conceded a lot of goals in the first half of the season. That was our problem, but. I mean, I don't know what the stats were for the second half of the season in terms of goals conceded, but it was a lot better than the first half, And our defence has got better over recent seasons, but I think when you are playing a possession-based, attacking-based game that Wolverhampton wants to play, you are going to concede goals, because you are putting pressure on them. But the best thing about our defenders, we do have a good mix in terms of we've got a solid sort of what I call a no-nonsense centre-back, and then we've got two ball-playing centre-backs because we do play a back three. So we do have a nice balance. It's just still the issue isn't with the back three. It's the space between the wing back and the centre backs. That's where the problem is because the wing backs commit.
And did we said, I mean, up until the changes were made, you were almost running the game, and it was great for us. And it's weird to say that when you're 2-0 down, that you're thinking, great, it's good because you're giving us a game. You're what we want pre-season. But when we made the changes, I mean, Daka's first goal, he was just so calm. He ran into the space, and he just knows where the goal is, didn't he? Did you obviously thinking like, shit, here we go again? It's all going to go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, when I always say 2-0 is the most dangerous scoreline to have, because once you let especially a Premier League team, a team who won the FA Cup last season, very good team, get a goal, you're just asking for trouble almost. So, I was sort of like, oh no, and then when the second goal went in, I was like, oh god, no, this is definitely Leicester going to turn it around, and then we score from the corner, and then last minute, all I see is Daka running. And then DN comes out and takes him out. I was like, "Oh my god!" It's like you didn't have to do that. And that's
during the game, there's a lot of tackles were going in, and I think had it been a league or a cup game or something like that, there'd have been a few cards handed out. But I know refs don't always like doing that because it is a pre-season friendly. But yeah, that was that was a red card all the way, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm not doubting it was. The best thing is I'm happy it happens in pre-season because then you learn. That's the best thing about pre-season. You learn. Okay, in that scenario, a player with that kind, a player with that sort of pace and physicality and very clever, he's going to knock the ball out of the way, so you're going to end up taking out the man. And look, I was a bit concerned because we were playing two in midfield and you were playing three. And I look at the three that you had, and I'm thinking, oh my god, that was probably what I was most scared about was that your midfield. But I thought into our midfield matched yours. I'm going to be honest. I thought most of your threat actually came from sort of more like sort of Ricardo and Bertrand sort of giving you a bit more width. I thought Iosi Perez was probably the poorest player on the pitch yesterday.
Oh no, don't you'll feed into the Perez haters.
I'm not a Perez because I was sitting where because I mean he was sort of more on the right hand side, and I was sitting in the stand where he was playing, especially in the first half, and he just didn't. I don't know what it is because I really like Iosi Perez. I've watched him at Newcastle. He's done well in parts at Leicester. I don't think he's been the most consistent he could have been, but I just sort of question. What's his best position? Because I know he's been played as a centre forward at times. He's been played out on the right. I don't. Is he?
Brendan brought him. He was one of Brendan's early signings, and he just went. He had a 30 million buyout clause at Newcastle, and he went in and paid the 30 million. Basically, he likes him because he's kind of. He said he's the first line of our defence. You know, he defends high up the field. You know, the poor guy. He's up against a lot of other players for similar positions. He's played out on the wing a lot because we haven't really got a right winger, although we've got Michael Brighton, but we've talked about his age and what have you. So he's not always played in his best position. The funny thing with Leicester is we like to have a player to hate. We've got to have one of the squad. It used to be Ben Chilwell, who, you know, he was England's left back, but apparently he was rubbish for Leicester, if you listen to a lot of Leicester fans. We lost our 2 previous pre-season games, and it was the pre-season games. We only drew yesterday, and it was like, Perez was rubbish. What was Perez doing on? But in fairness, it was his first 60 minutes of football. You know, he hadn't played in any of the previous games, so Brendan likes him for whatever reason, and you have to, trust the process, as Arsenal fans like saying, and stick with him. Whether we like him or not, Brendan likes him, and of course, he's the man. One player I was so impressed with, and I mean, it was great to see Barnes back.
Definitely.
It was, again, he wasn't his full self, you could see that, but a couple of times he just ran at your defence, and, he caused so many problems. But Kieran Dewsbury Hall, he's been on loan last season at Luton. You don't know if you played yourselves possibly when he was at Luton. Academy player. His emergence could actually be good. Should say Madison decide that he wants to move down to London. He had a good game and obviously got the first goal. But you're talking. It's a pre-season friendly. There's a young guy here. He won all the awards from Luton Town last season. He's back in Leicester. He's playing for his club. He scores a goal, 2-1 down in a friendly. What's he do? He picks the ball up, runs it back to the halfway line and puts it on the spot because he wanted to get more. That's what, as fans, we want to see, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I saw him at Luton last year when they played against us. When I was watching it, he's a young player who wants to now see. Well, he wants to play first team football. He doesn't want to go out on loan again, and he's good enough. And I think, like I said, I don't see. I mean, I think your midfield is probably the strongest part of your team. And it'd be difficult for him. But I was reading something that Brendan said. He said probably he's worked extremely hard. He's been fantastic in pre-season. He's definitely keeping him this year. So, and obviously with all the competitions that you're in, and obviously he will get game time. It will be difficult for him, but yesterday I thought he was superb. He come on that midfield really well. He played some really good passes. He scored. He's obviously, and because I was right next to the pitch, I was in the front row, and I can hear the players, and he was shouting a lot. He doesn't take a lot of crap on the pitch. He gives it his all. He still needs to develop in certain parts of his game. Probably more of his defensive side of his game. I mean, I think he's more sort of like a midfielder who wants to get forward and make things happen. But, I can't see, do I think he can do really well for Leicester? That's a question. He'd do well in the Premier League, but maybe not for a team as high up as Leicester. Maybe more someone, maybe you look at someone like Aston Villa, or maybe even a team like West Ham, maybe, a team who's sort of up there, but not, challenging or want to win stuff like Leicester. That's what I think Leicester's next step is. Obviously, they want to win the FA Cup again. And I just want to go back to your point. I know you say you don't count yourself as a top club, but I think because you were so close to getting Champions League twice, I think that's where sort of people are saying, well, you bottled it. Because, well, you did bottle it, even though you weren't maybe expected to be up there for so long. I think because you were so close to getting it on 2 occasions, that's where it's like, well, maybe they did bottle it. But if you were fifth for most of the season or sixth, whatever, getting Europa League, I think a lot of people from other clubs would be like, it's a fantastic season for Leicester, brilliant. But because you were so close and you missed out twice in a row, it's sort of like, okay, yeah, maybe there is a sort of pattern happening here. So I think there is no reason why Leicester can't finish top 4. So it will be difficult. Whether they do it via Europa League when they win that, or they finish in the top 4, I think that has to be an expectation for the season if you want to improve, which, Leicester do want to get better.
I kind of get what you're saying. It is this word bottling it that tends to wind Leicester players up. Leicester fans, I should say, up. And I think it's just, would I prefer to be top four all season and finish fifth? Or would I prefer to be mid-season all table and have a good run at the end and finish fifth? It certainly is what we are doing. And this is the expectations. Like I said, this is it down to expectations. If we were Arsenal last season, and that happened, and they had a couple of seasons where it happened to them, yes, because they expect more. As Leicester fans, certainly for myself, we don't expect it now. Yes, we're going to grow and we're going to grow and we're going to grow. But it's like when we won the Premier League. You could see that the other clubs were almost imploding. Manchester City announcing they were sacking the manager with a third of the season left. That was never a good move. You'd got Liverpool being Liverpool, Spurs were imploding. But once we won it, my God, they spent a fortune to make sure we weren't going to do it again. And it is a process. I mean, look how many times we were in the FA Cup before we won it.
Yeah.
We have won. We won the Premier League in 15-16 and the FA Cup in 2021. That's great for Leicester, but again, if that was Man United, they're moaning because they've not won anything in years. I mean, just going back to where are we here? I don't know if I can find it now, but I think it was Static was saying, or possibly, I think it might have been Talk MU, that, they're going to find out about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's ceiling this season. I think, yes, he signed a new 3-year contract, which I joke means another 3 years of being second best for Man United. But he's got, they've got to look and think, well, hang on, what have we won for the past 4 or 5 seasons? Zilch, basically. But the problem is when you've got clubs like Man United, there's a lot of Man United fans that won't remember how bad they used to be pre-Ferguson, And yes, they were amazing under Ferguson, but I can remember when Man United couldn't win a thing apart from the odd FA Cup. So it's all about perspective, I think, and what what you expect. I would be happy with another season like this season. And just going on what you were saying about Kieran Dewsbury Hall, it was an excellent point that you made about that. But I think for Leicester, we're in 4 competitions again next season, and we came short this season, which is why we're going out and adding these players to the squad to improve the squad. And whilst KDH maybe not good enough, or I think he is personally, but good enough to a regular spot in the Premier League team, he'd be good enough for one of the cups.
Yeah.
And Europa. I mean, the thing we've got is with the youth is we've got players. Look at Luke Thomas. I mean, yes, we bought Ryan Bertrand because James is out till probably December, and Luke Thomas is a bit young to be maybe competing in four competitions. But this is a player who has won an FA Cup at 19, has played in Europe at 19, has scored in Europe at 19, and was confident enough to be running up behind Jamie Vardy against Man United, shouting him to leave the ball because he wanted to have a shot on goal, and when he went on and scored. So it's sometimes you do have to go sort of with the youth and what have you. And somebody here was saying, we're talking about having a player that you dislike. Did Leicester have a player that we disliked when we won the Premier League? I can't think if there was one, to be honest with you. How can you dislike any player that wins you the Premier League? That was a different season, but I just would love you to do well this season. You played so well. You gave us a really tough game, but I just hope you can. And you have got a good manager. You have got a nice. You never stopped, and that was what I was impressed with you. You weren't phased by the fact that this is the FA Cup winners coming to play us. You just came out and you came at us.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing now that I've learned with this QPR team and the manager that we've got is the camaraderie. It's for once for a long, long time at QPR. We don't have individuals; we have a team. And I think when you've got a team, it doesn't really matter how good your players are. If you work as a team and you fight as a team, when you win a game of football, or I think Mark Wilson said it. I think against at half time against Man United when we won when it was 1-1. Lee Wallace, who's our captain, went in and he went absolutely crazy. He says, if you think that's okay, you're absolutely wrong. You are not walking off this pitch until you get that win. This is against Man United, and we go out and we do them 4-2. That's the sort of mindset of the club now. When we lose as a team, it hurts. When we win as a team, it feels fantastic. And, I think it's about time that the teams like Burnley and stuff sort of drop out the league because for me, I don't even know how they're still there, to be honest. But yeah,
Ooh, controversial
yeah.
to somebody that lived there for 20 years.
No, I just feel now it. You see, there's a lot of sort of good footballing teams in the Championship now, and you look at some of the teams in the Premier League and some of the football they play. Like Burnley as an example, or Newcastle even, just so negative and defensive, and you think, you've been in the Premier League for how many years now, and you're not even sort of trying to compete. You're just sort of soaking up the pressure, and when you get an odd set piece, fingers crossed you score. Whereas teams like QPR will go up and we might not sign all these fantastic players, but we will compete. We won't, sit back against Man City and be like, okay, come on. Obviously, we will at times, but we will try and play through them. We will press from the front. We will try and play on the front foot. That's the team that we've got now, and that's down to the coaches and obviously the board who's given the manager what he wants. So and obviously the fans are all behind it as well. So there isn't a separation between all those things. Everyone's together. So that's the best thing about QPR at the moment.
Who owns you now? Because you've had some pretty rich owners recently,
Yeah,
haven't
well,
you?
we used to have obviously Bernie Ecclestone
Yeah,
and whatnot, but they sold the club in 2012 to Tony Fernandez, who's the owner of Air Asia.
yeah.
But he still owns a majority share, but he sort of took a step back and our new owner, he bought the club with Tony Fernandez, is Amit Bhatia, who is a massive steel magnate in India, one of the richest men in India. His uncle actually bought it, but obviously he sort of makes sure everything's all right in the club, and obviously
Yeah.
he's sort of been the only person, even when things haven't been good in the last few years, sort of been the one who's been sort of like the bridge between the fans and the board. But obviously he's now the chairman and the owner. So look, fantastic, and he's still relatively young, but he cares about the football club. So yeah, obviously, yeah, he's a wonderful man.
Yeah. I agree with you in fair. I used to say that a lot about Wigan, and I don't. I love to see. As I've said many times, I don't count Leicester as a big club, but no disrespect to them. But I love to see the underdog type clubs come up, like Brentford this season, and I hope they do really well. Sheffield United a couple of seasons ago come up and give it a go, and I love to see the big boys occasionally get their arses whipped and go down. And I used to think that with Wigan. I mean, with Wigan when they're in the Premier League, they were always just staying up on the last few games. They were never. I mean, at least Burnley, in respect to them, did actually manage to get into Europe one season. But I know what you mean. These Newcastle, they're all, things stand at the moment unless they sell and get some, better investment and maybe a better manager. They would argue that they'll be there. Yet, let these other clubs come up and have a go. Munsey saying there, going back to the Ollie point, if he doesn't win a cup, he'll be gone. I think he's got to win something for you now. I really do. Statics made the point here. I'll be interested to see if Leicester will learn the lesson and be consistent in the league for the new season. I mean, we were consistent for 37 game weeks. It was just the 38th game week that seemed to bugger us up. The problem and I'm not using this as an excuse, I'm really not, but I think just the COVID situation for the last season and a half has totally and absolutely buggered not just Leicester, but every club up. And I think it's been really hard to judge managers and to judge teams and players on this last two. So, I mean, this last season, no team had a proper pre-season. You know, it was a few weeks and then we were back into it, and then every team had injuries. But I can say static, consistent. I think we were consistent. Like the season before last, when we came back after COVID, when there was no games at all, that we were just rubbish. We hardly won at all. The last season, we were there. Like I say, it's Tottenham Hotspur on the last day. God, I hate Tottenham Hotspur. If you want to know a player we hate, it's Harry Kane. It's less when he plays for England, of course. Static's asking here if you would take back Clint Hill.
If he was about 20 years younger, yeah, I would. We all love
Is that
Clint
the
Hill.
Clint Hill that used to play for Tranmere?
Yeah. I think he was born up there. Yeah, he might have played at Tranmere when he was younger.
Because Leicester were in the we played Tranmere in the League Cup final in 1999. I think it was 2000, and Clint Hill, I think maybe even got sent off for Tranmere. I'm not sure, but I'm sure he was in that team that we played. That was like last century.
Yeah.
So yes, I can see what you mean. If it is him, about 20 years younger, I would totally agree with you. Scott says here, 5th place for the last 2 seasons seems consistent to me. What these clubs, I think, like the Man United, I mean, there are literally 15 teams below us that would have swapped positions with us. And that's the thing. So, Man United wouldn't. Chelsea were so lucky to sneak in. Liverpool had a really bad season, but had a couple of good runs at the end. But look, Connor, I want to thank you for coming on, because I so admired your team yesterday, and I really wish you the best for next season. First of all, with regards to QPR, where do you think you're going to finish next season?
Oh, I think I'm going to put us down to finish second. I think we'll go up automatically.
Yes. Well, I would look on what I just saw, and I know it was only sort of 90 minutes, but on what I saw yesterday, I think you got a good chance of doing that. Although I must admit, I would love Bournemouth to come back up, only because I live in Poole next to Bournemouth, and it's like a home game for me. So I would love that. What can you see Leicester doing next season?
Look, they're going to finish high again. I think getting in the top 4 is so hard because there's so many teams that can sort of finish up there. I think they'll finish 4th. I think they'll sneak in this time. I don't think they won't win the FA Cup. I think, that really is, I think obviously City will be back there or something, or even United. And I think they'll go further in Europa League. I don't think they'll get to the final, but I'm thinking more sort of quarter-final, semi-final type sort of finish for them.
Yeah.
But
and what about Europe? I think we'll do well in the Europa League this season. I think it was Static or Talk said earlier, will Brendan Rodgers learn his lessons? I mean, he's never done well in Europe. I don't think he's ever got past the round of 16 with either Liverpool, Celtic, and he certainly didn't with ourselves last season. I'm having a sneaky bet on Leicester winning the Europa League. I know it all depends who comes down for the Champions League, and I hate the fact that I think if you don't do well in the Champions League, you should just bugger off and you were crap and that was it. But I think we could do well in the Europa League.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why you can't, but a couple of injuries might hinder that. Maybe that's the thing. But you do have depth, so you never know.
Well, we're getting that depth. That's the thing. Connor, thanks so much for coming on. And as Talk would say, or Static, I think I can't. They're merging into one person, Static and Talk. They must be really happy to finally see you on camera.
Oh yeah, they're happy.
I've seen you a couple of times in chats, and I must admit, you are that little circular picture in the middle. You're not seen you before. But hey, no, thanks for coming on. It's been brilliant, and like I say, really impressed with QPR. Good luck for next season, mate, and hopefully we'll speak again soon.
Yeah, you too.
Cheers. Take care. Stay safe, and all the best.
See you later.
And don't forget, so just give your social. He's gone. I was going to say just give your socials a shout out again, but they're actually social is in the description below if you are on the YouTube version of this. So you can click on him, give him a follow. What a nice guy! What a great guy! And I really am. I really am impressed with QPR. I know it was only one game, but they gave us a game, and we kept most of our players on longer yesterday, but we got Villarreal on Wednesday. Man United, just for your interest, can we do what you couldn't do and beat Villarreal? If it goes to penalties, are you going to lend us to Gea? No, actually, don't lend us to Gea if it goes to penalties, Scott, just the last couple of comments here. Leicester need to achieve 7th or better and make good cup runs minimum. Quarterfinals in both, and same for Europa League. Need to make quarterfinals or better. This is it. I can remember Everton when I used to watch Everton. I don't used to watch them, but used to follow the Premier League, obviously, under David Moyes. And they would have what I would say was one good season, one bad season, one good season, one bad season. So, I think, like you say, consistency is all the same. And if we finish top 7th, yeah, I'll take that. I really will. Static, thanks very much. To take care, everybody. Thank you for that. Michael, David, whichever one you are, welcome. David, you're going to have to explain, David, why you're Michael on YouTube. That confuses me every time. So if I call you, I should just call you Mr. Gamble, and that way I know what I'm doing. Let's just have a look. Any more comments coming in? I think we said this before, and you're quite right there, Scott. 5th place last 2 seasons seems consistent to me. So, what's coming up? Well, tomorrow night we have the quiz. We do. We're back with a little bit of this.
It's the Big Fat Football Quiz with Leicester Till I Die TV.
So you think you know your football?
Well, let's see.
Yes, indeed. We are back Monday night, and it's a double header as well. A double header on the quiz show. We have got Chelsea, Ankit, coming a Chelsea fan at 7 o'clock. He's going to see, well, he's been a bit worried. He's been watching us, and he has been a little bit worried about doing this. So we're going to see where he comes. Liverpool top, Leicester second in the quiz league. And then Charlie, the 14-year-old Man City fan, but don't let his age put you off. He knows his stuff. He's on at 8:30 tomorrow night. And then on Tuesday, Ant from Ant's Leicester Till I Die, Leicester City channel is joining me. We're going to have a look back at all Leicester. Last season's Leicester, next season's Leicester. And we're going to see, it'd be great. It'd be great to look back and be great to look forward as well. So don't miss that. Monday night, the quiz, 2 shows. Tuesday night, the Leicester preview and review, as they say. And don't forget that this is still available on the YouTube channel, and that's the transfer show we did with Fabrizio Romano in conjunction with the ME group that have ME Education, ME Sports, Sports in the Community, and their memorabilia and merchandise site as well. Contact details are there on the panel, and you can find them on megroup-uk.co.uk and find out who Fab thinks will be coming in, who Fab thinks will be going out. We spoke Kabak, we spoke Berardi, we spoke James, we spoke Pierre at West Brom, my personal choice, Maitland-Niles. But about Maddison to Arsenal, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Tune into that, and you will see. Thanks so much again, once again, to Connor for coming on. I'm back tonight on Stephen Flatley's S Flatley TV on YouTube with Brad, and we'll be talking all things Leicester again there, looking toward next season. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. It's been a bit of a Sunday break here for us, and we will be back, like I say, Monday night. Please tune in then. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy. Yeah, that leaves it open for you.
Hello,
Goodbye.
Matt Elliott here. Be sure to watch Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and follow all their social media platforms for all the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share and get involved. Join us next time.